Concerns about the U.S. economy and talks of recession growing as we see slow movement when it comes to rising interest rates trying to cool red-hot inflation. Well, my next guest says tangible investments is the way to go as we wait to see what lies ahead. Collin Plume is the president and CEO of Noble Gold Investments. He's joining us this morning on the national desk. Well, welcome. Good to see you.
Good. Yeah, thanks to be here. Top of the morning to you.
I know, right? We know we've got out-of-control prices with little reprieve right now. It is hitting all Americans. Collin, where do you see inflation heading? What are you watching for right now?
Well, I think we've been at 7-8% range for pretty much this whole year. I don't think it's going to change anytime soon. A lot of the inflation numbers that we're seeing right now have been a carryover from what's been happening over the last few years, which has a lot to do with supply chain issues, has to do with just rising overall costs. And yes, the Fed's trying to slow things down. They're trying to get inflation under control. But with gas prices at an all-time high, the cost of most goods skyrocketing, I don't think there's much they can do in the short term. Hopefully by, I would say, first quarter next year, maybe second quarter next year, maybe things will slow down a little bit with inflation.
You know, Fed Chair Jerome Powell compared this to what happened in the early 80s. So are we going to see double-digit interest rates? And what happens if we see that?
I hope not. Double-digit inflation would be, and inflation rates would be astronomical, scary. In terms of interest rates, I don't think that interest rates were above 5% for the average homeowner right now. I don't think we're going to see it go much higher than that. Maybe it touches on 6 briefly. But anything above that would really shatter the economy. And obviously with the news that just came out, with the job reports obviously having problems, and then we're obviously very close to going to another recession, things are nervous for the Fed. So they're going to continue to raise interest rates, hopefully slow down inflation, but it is going to hurt the economy this year.
Right. And this is really frightening for people who are watching their 401ks and their retirement, right? Especially if you're at that age of retirement or if you're looking perhaps to buy a house. What's your advice to those people?
Well, I think the housing market, there's going to be some opportunities this year. I think with interest rates above 5%, maybe touching 6, somewhere in that range, I think that we're going to see, you know, the next 8 to 10 months, you're going to see an opportunity to buy a house at a better price. I think prices are coming down, which is great. In terms of 401ks, I don't think the equity markets are getting any better anytime soon. The Nasdaq's down, 25% this year. So that market is going to have a lot of problems because a lot of what we've seen, a lot of the growth over the last few years has been because we've had cheap money. Interest rates on homes were 2.5%. Interest rates for businesses were in the low 3s. Now we're in the 5, 6, 7% range. So the economy, equities is going to have some problems for a while. Typically bear markets don't last that long, but we've really pumped a lot of money in the economy. Something we've never seen, Jan. We've pumped, there's 40% more money in the economy in the last 2 years. So we've done some things that are unprecedented. So I don't know how quickly we'll get out of this.
Right. And you touched on something just now when you talked about real estate. That's certainly a tangible asset. And you have said tangible assets are something that is a smart investment at this point. You are involved in this gold business here. First of all, how did you get involved in this business? And tell us why this is really the new sort of investment that folks should be looking toward.
Well, I was in commercial real estate for many years. I collected silver coins as a kid. My father collected silver coins. So I had a fascination with tangible investments, and then had an opportunity to get into the business almost 13 years ago and really fell in love with the idea that you can own something on your own. Gold and silver, physical gold and silver is something you can buy. It's tangible. You don't have to buy a stock version or an ETF. So it's very unique that you can own something, hold it in your hands, and it has, tremendous value. And, you can put $1 million of gold in a shoebox. And so those types of elements, I think, give it a lot of excitement. It is an asset that a lot of people don't know about. So the education on it is still coming out. People are still learning about it, but it's been around for 5,000 years. It's not going to zero gold. So it's something that people should maybe consider if they're looking to diversify from some of their other assets.
I'm so glad you said that too, that this is something you can actually touch, because a lot of folks think it might be, like you said, like a certificate or an electronic transfer, but this is something you can actually hold and put in a shoebox. Collin, great talking to you, and we appreciate it.
Thanks, Jan.
Your Money, sponsored by Noble Gold.